So what is mini proposal process? It is a way, it's a model to design a proposal for Catalyst idea scale. It starts with simple questions. What problem do you see? Then you answer this and you end up with like question, okay, why is the selected problem a problem? And then you answer that, and then you can further like root cause analyze your problem until you get the problem statement. Then you go to the next chapter and you end up with solution, and so on. You continue with this kind of questionnaire. It has several chapters. Start the problem statement, then solution. Then you think about the title. Think about, do you need a branding for the title? And think overall team roles and tasks they do. What kind of proposal it is? Like, is it a business idea? Is it an community idea? Is it the experiment? Give like an overview. What is that paper the voter is reading? Talking about a target audience, defining success, missions, goals. In key performance measurements, there are a lot of examples what you could do, starting from capital, revenue, process, and what users can do, and including an example of what like user feedback rating. This is also could be used for a KPI. How did they like your process? What users had, and also I suggest to add operational KPIs, like how many hours was spent, how many issues or tasks are raised. This is when you create a proposal and you get funded in coordinator program, you have to give them KPIs. But if your project is something like, how many users join, how many transactions are made, but the application is not built yet, then you want to use different kind of KPIs to show that the progress is made towards a delivery. And when the delivery happens, then you can take over with the different KPIs. And then we also have a chapter for defining user experience, and where you can brainstorm some kind of flow chart. Why should the users engage with you? What is the first entry, what they see there, and what they get out of that? Finally, in the end, you also want to estimate the tasks these roles do, and give and this will give you a list of like hours all these tasks might take, and give you like an overview of what could be the budget. And then you can also use an affinity diagram to know, like to split the budget in like different areas for project management, documenting, administrative work, communicative work, and etc. And finally, of course, you summarize it all. So this proposal, this method can be just used by like taking these questions and writing in a document, but you can also join. I added the Miro board. I sense a few new people joined here. Moving forward today, since this is quite a long journey, usually average it takes like 8 hours to go through all of these chapters. So at the start, what is the most important thing for the proposer and the voter is a problem statement. If you get this right, you can you have much easier time to scope down of the solution and the roles and all of the other stuff if you have the defined view of what you are actually what is the problem you're going to solve. Any questions so far about the process, or like the overview of the process?
Well, is this something that you just gave us the link to view for this presentation, or will we have access to this after we're out of this town hall breakout room?
Yes, you will have access to this after town hall breakout room.
I have a question. Everybody's been, can you hear me? Am I on mute?
Yes, we can hear.
So between Discord and Telegram, what are the differences between them? And what, I mean, it seems like everyone has both and there are different things being shared on both. I'm just trying to keep it all straight.
So it started, the official channels in a sense are made in Telegram. Okay. However, as a community, since Fund 1, we felt like it is this one big line of text is hard to keep up, and it is not very suitable to have like a different discussions. So in a Discord, if I pull it up, there you can have like we have different server communities. So if one gets too big, then we also create a new spin-off servers. But also in one server, you can have channels, which what usually involve like a specific topic.
Okay, got it.
And yes, I myself prefer to use the Discord, and very rarely are in Telegram. So now it opened up. So one of our like so-called main servers is Cardano Project Catalyst server, and loads quite long. And here we have like the main information what's going on, but then we also have a Catalyst swarm. But if you, I'm gonna share this link, invite link to this Discord. If somebody doesn't have it, and you can join this server. And when you move, let me see, under Catalyst ecosystem, there are Discord servers, and here is the list of all other servers what are related to. It has like some kind of DAO tools and structures, and if you find your interest topic, climate change, it will lead you to other Discord servers. Or here is also a list of community websites what are related to our community. Okay, just to type
Now
if you have any questions.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And if you have any questions, then in the Discord, there is also a channel for that, and people will be glad to help you.
So this platform that you're showing us right here, how do you say it, Miro?
Yeah.
Miro. So is this something that you recommend us use to create the template for our proposal, or are you just showing us the proposal process through it? Like, am I supposed to take this and make a copy of it that only I can access to do it, or you're just showing us the steps, or how?
Yeah, so this is the second part. I'm showing a process. If you want to keep it private, then yes, you have to create your own motherboard, or just take these questions and run with it. This is this tool is not really linked to IdeaScale. So once this is more used for like co-creating and ideating on your idea, getting the main points out of your head, and then you use these sticky notes what you create here to also in the proposals. So if no further questions, we could actually, I can show you how it kind of works, like how it's used, and then maybe it gives some more clarification of how this can be effectively used for your ideas too. So the first question is, Dana, if I assume you have a proposal idea, and then what is the problem or problem statement you currently have?
So I have a number of things that I want to propose, but one of the ideas is there is a disconnect between the Department of Defense and the Veteran Association as far as identification is concerned. So when veterans are done with their service and they've left active duty, they go to the VA to get their benefits. However, they are told that there's no record of them, so they have to prove their identification. And there's all these extra steps. And sometimes it's hard for them to get their benefits approved because the DoD and the VA are not connected. So it's this identification process, which you would think would be easy because the newer veterans, their social security number is now their service ID, and they're still not being given the due diligence of, okay, we believe you type of thing. It's really weird.
Okay.
And this is actually tied to a different question I have. So I have this idea, I have this problem that I believe Cardano can help with, but I don't even know what my solution would be. like as far as some type of tool or something like that. I don't even know. I just know that there's a problem and I want it solved and I want to like bring it to the community. So I don't even know. So maybe this is a good process for me to go through with you guys just to see.
Yep, and there is one rare thing I haven't seen in this workshop before, is that usually the problem statement is quite vague, but in your case, you're being very precise. What is your problem? So we don't really, but I will still would like to try one time and to have more of the root cause of that. And then in a room, you also have a better of view the world you see. So usually if you get the problem you want to work on, then the next question is, why is the selected problem a problem? So you already answered one of the benefits are not approved, but are there more of things what is caused by this?
So if their benefits are not approved, that means that they are not able to get the medical care. Like if they're not able to get the medical care they need, which means that a lot of them are suffering from PTSD without help, or I mean, all the things that veterans deal with when they come back, as far as feeling like they still can take care of their families and all, and be able to adjust back to normal life. Sometimes that's hard if you don't have the resources that you need to do that. So you have a lot of veterans. What do they say? I forget the number. It's like 3 veterans commit suicide. Is it 3 or 33? 33 veterans commit suicide like every day or something. I should know this off the top of my head. But so there's suicide, there is lack of medical care. We have a lot of homeless veterans on the street, especially in California, especially in rural areas where maybe the medical resources that they have are not the best. They can't, there's just a lot of roadblocks and barriers for people to get taken care of and for them to support their families. Families are broken up because these men don't have the care that they need. So there's a lot of families splitting because they can't handle being home. Lack of awareness. Let's see. Trying to think of what other problems stem from this.
May I interject something?
Yes.
Also, drug and substance abuse, alcoholism is very prevalent with veterans.
Yeah.
There's also a burden on the I don't mean that in a negative way. There's a burden on the system that doesn't need to be there, as
Right.
far as on the medical system, any type of social welfare system does not need to be there. Those two systems would communicate.
And this is attached to one of the other things that I'm going to be proposing. We're making a movie on a Native American Marine veteran who is going on a cross-country road trip with his cryptocurrency entrepreneur best friend in a 1974 Barracuda muscle car. And so we've been having a lot of discussions with people from the Native American Veterans Association. So we've just been learning a lot. We already knew there was a veteran support issue, but it's just been taken to a whole nother level since we've been having these conversations. So.
Okay. So this actually did help us to scope down a little more and why this is actually called a mini proposal workshop is that one of my goals is to find a specific problem. And even though your problem was quite specific and quite targeted, after asking why is it a problem, we we realized that it actually breaks down into different areas even further. And what this would allow us to do is to choose even like a more root cause issue, and maybe not just fix the Department of Defense and Federal Association like identification, unless this is your goal. And we could also take that like as a larger goal, but we can also target these broken up families or find the different programs to help to benefit ourselves. We don't rely on government, but you provide the solution or the platform for the solution yourself. So one question for Dina would be, do you want to continue with your main idea, your main concept first, that you want to solve the like the disconnect between Department of Defense and Veterans Association, or you would prefer to try to any of these three like underlying?
So, I mean, like I said, we're creating a film that's bringing awareness to some of these other things. And through the film, we're also wanting to create like an NFT project that is going to focus on Native American veterans, like showcasing them almost like baseball cards as like Native warriors, and have Native artists be a part of that. And all the proceeds, we want to be helping them to start their own. One of the goals that they have in California is to start the first Native American VSO, Veterans Service Organization. They don't have one yet, and there's just things that are specific to them that they believe that they need resources for. So we are doing a number of things to help some of these other issues. And then in addition, I was just looking at I think Jenny had posted something before we started this about the DAO that she started, and I think like maybe this would even be a perfect opportunity, you know, as far as money is concerned, like even to create a DAO. But I'm just dipping my toe into catalysts and all these things, so I don't even know if what I'm saying is correct.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what do you think?
Well, I think it would be interesting to provide a solution to the Department of Defense, but I think I'm not from USA, but I have a feeling that they will say, no, we don't need the solution from you, we need the solution from inside. And
it's really the VA that needs the solution, because the it's the VA being able to identify these people as soldiers, and the DoD is not sharing the information with them.
Yeah, from my knowledge, this is a very old problem with the VA. The man that I thought was my father, which is a whole different story, was a Native American Vietnam veteran and special forces. And he struggled from the 70s all the way through till his passing several years back with the fight with the VA. I mean, we're not even entirely sure what he died from, probably cancer. So they didn't bother with all the autopsy and all that, but most likely due to something he was exposed to in Vietnam. You know, Agent Orange was some pretty nasty stuff, and where the SEALs were always in areas where they were spraying because there was not supposed to be anyone in those areas. So I'm very interested in your proposal, and I'll be following this all the way through.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you for sharing. Yeah, I live in Las Vegas. I'm home in Michigan for the holidays right now, but one of my best friends, her father. I live in
Michigan. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my best friends, her father is an attorney, and their whole law office is dedicated strictly to veteran affairs. And we had like a 2-hour interview with them. They shared all of they literally, I mean, it's amazing the different scenarios of the ways that the government has been neglecting and taking advantage of these people. I mean, from the point of, sometimes they get the letters to submit for their things after the date that it's supposed to be submitted. So some of these veterans don't even have the chance to, re-up and ask for their stuff, because they're making it, it's almost on purpose. They're trying to make them not get their benefits. We can hear you very low. But yeah, you said that there was no incentive for these organizations to do what they're supposed to.
There's no incentive for these organizations to do what they're supposed to, so they just deliberately don't. It's ludicrous. The government just doesn't work for people at all. Like, you see this in the entire poverty industrial complex. Like, not just serving impoverished veterans. Like, every branch of the government does not coordinate to the detriment of the people they're supposed to serve, especially poor people, and it's just a disaster. Yeah, I don't really have anything important to say. That's all.
Yeah. So maybe the thing we want to take. So we are trying to get funding for our film. So I was gonna submit that to the miscellaneous challenge, and that is gonna bring awareness and do all of these things, because part of the movie we are gonna show this guy being denied his benefits, and then by the end of the movie, with the help of some different things that we're gonna do, he gets a call and gets his benefits. But in addition to that, the crypto aspect is, I personally stake my Cardano with a small staking pool in New York, and it's dedicated wholly to supporting veterans. And so throughout the movie, one of the things that this Native American Marine is going to learn, because his best friend, this is what he does, is maybe by the end of the movie, there's going to be like secret, staking pools and even like Cardano staking pools, and then even like Bitcoin mining rigs like popping up on some of these reservations in order to take back some of the power that the government has stolen from them, or the America, so there's and then also the entrepreneur, his best friend, is going to be living out of his digital wallet the whole trip. So we're giving people a real life example of how you can use crypto without it just being a speculative or a criminal activity thing. So yeah, we're looking for funding and also support from the community just to start getting the word out. And that's what we hope with the NFT project and stuff like that. So maybe the project is to fund the film, maybe it's to find a tool to help the Veterans Association, or help the Native American Veterans Association create their own VSO, something like that.
Yeah, I feel like the few people from also in the chat mentioned that Atala Prism is good for verification entity. So it seems everybody is eager to see the better solution compared to the Department of Defense. Now, but I do see an issue there, even if after you get all the verification tools on Atala Prism, the Department of Defense is still the one who should actually sign up that, yeah, okay, this benefit will go to you. So
there has to be like a liaison, somebody who is reaching out to the Department of Defense talking about, would you use this? But I mean, just like Charles has said in some of his videos that I've watched, at the end of the day, people go, like, we're going to countries around the world, developing countries, and saying, yeah, don't you want to help your people? He's like, at the bottom of, at the core of everyone, they're like, yes, they would fundamentally like to help their people, even if somebody came to the DOD, like, even if, throughout myself and my team that I work with on the film, we came up with something, or someone, or a advocate, or somebody from the NAVA, from Native American Veterans Association, to become that liaison, to start talking with them, be like, hey, we're building this thing, and wouldn't this be a great idea? wouldn't this be something you should use? And then it's like, if they're presented with something then it would really be, they would have to make that decision of, I'm going to say no to something. And people are going to know I've said no to something just because I don't want there to be visibility. Like they're going to have to, it's going to be known. It's not just going to be this thing they can scoot around anymore. There is a solution and I'm just willingly not using it.
What they'll do is they'll say there's a solution, we tried it and it failed. But that's what they're doing right now with rural health care for veterans. They have something called community care that they set up to keep veterans from having to travel long distances. I'm one of those. And I still have to travel an hour and a half. So it's still inconvenient, even though we have services here. So where there's a will, there's a way, and the government will find a way. Not trying to discourage you at all. I'm just saying you will definitely run into roadblocks. I was in the Army for 12 and a half years and worked for the government after that for about another 6 years.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Army.
Okay.
Yeah, this is quite the topic, because I have no insight into that. We all know that we can create an identification tool, but then that's what just Scott said. Even if we have that tooling, we need the most crucial thing is to find somebody from inside the Department of Defense who is like willing to listen, willing to work together. So I mean, would there be anything more important than that? If not, I think this would be a required solution. But then this is what we need to get, this is the goal. So how would you solve this?
Like I said, I think it would be partnering with somebody at NAVA and being able to come up with an advocacy, like somebody who, maybe I could work with Roy or something and say, hey, is there somebody at the Department of Defense that we could speak to, and then start that relationship? Because here's the thing, is that Native Americans are still one of the top enlisting. I mean, out of their, I think, what was the number? Out of the population of America, so many Americans will enlist in the military. In the Native American population, it's like triple the percentage that the average American does. So they are, even to this day, still one of the top people enlisting into the military. So the DoD is still trying to get people to enlist in the military, right? So if there's a way to present it to them to say, hey, we want to make sure that at the end of our service that we're being taken care of. So, before we even enter the service, people that are able to, because joining the service is such like a, for Native Americans, what we've learned is that it's a warrior thing. It's not about working or fighting for the USA, the government that took what was theirs. It's more of a right of like a war. They're proving their warrior heritage, but then also they're like, this is still our land. Nobody owns it. So they, it's seen as something worth value to their people to do, especially their young men. And so if they're basically looking at this in a good light, they can go and they can say, listen, in order for us to continue to promote that it's a good thing to be joining the service and all of this, we want to make sure we're taken care of on the other end. And we can kind of position it that way, more of like a sales tactic but also, hey, this is good for everyone, for every American. Don't you want your veterans taken care of after they join the service? in the onboarding, you know, a tool that's created so that during the onboarding, it can be connected to this. Scott has his hand raised.
So why don't you, instead of trying to fight the federal government, not saying that you won't win eventually, because you will, use the resources that you have,
Yeah.
people that you know, set up a DAO, get those people that have been marginalized by the Department of Defense, have them become members of that DAO. They become that voice. That DAO approaches the Department of Defense as a single voice. They as a DAO, those people vote on how they approach the Department of Defense, the wording of how they approach legislature, legislative bodies, they approach politicians. You make it to where they are like the voice of those people.
Mhm.
And it's like the power of the people. And then you have they're all there and they're all representative. And I mean, I could see that working as probably a, not an alternative, but just probably one of many paths. And then the NAVA could help you out also. They could be, because I'm sure they deal with politics and stuff of that nature as well.
Can I ask who is NAVA?
NAVA is the Native American Veterans Association.
And there's also other organizations. I don't know if you've reached out to them. I don't know if they're helpful, but you have Disabled American Veterans that you might be able to liaise with as well. For part of your, if you create a DAO to liaise with, to get insight onto trying to push through legislation to get your voices heard.
Creating a DAO is a good choice, and leveraging that partnering options, finding partners from NAVA, and this is more of a task to do, or the purposes to do in the DAO itself. I think the identification tool is a technical thing and might not even be needed, because the veteran associations probably has their way, but like the problem was that the Department of Defense didn't approve this. But if you have, as I guess, like, I don't know how many veterans will join, but I guess it's an ongoing process, and over time people are sharing and getting their signature into some kind of documents where the goal is that the Department of Justice has to comply with these kinds of metrics, because they are common sense. They are proven by other institutions, and I don't know, the places where these people work, and just like that.
And what's interesting with the DAO is that the Native American tribes that have like flourishing businesses, they distribute all of those profits among their people. So if maybe like a few tribes got together and said, we're going to be the ones who fund the DAO for this, you know what I mean? Because in order to create a DAO, you need people to fund it, right?
Not
Your community can fund it, or you can have individuals that fund it. It just depends how you set it up.
Or the DAO, the American people, is that what you're saying? So anybody can fund it. It doesn't have to come from within them.
Yeah, it just depends how you structure it.
Okay.
Yeah. If so, what do you mean by funding? So what is the, because if, yeah, I guess you only want to, I'm not saying only, but my assumption is that you want to fund only the registration part and not yet supporting everybody, all the unlisted people, like that. Because if you have to start supporting them with money, you will need billions. But if you want to empower them, that hey, we like incentivize that if you want the money, the government has the potential to help you and should help you, but we need the legislations in order to do that. And then the funding amount you need is only the amount of work to lobby all of the work through.
Oh, I mean, this is something I didn't even think of. So yeah, I was assuming, Scott, is that what you were thinking when you said the DAO was the DAO for legislation?
Yes,
Okay,
for
yeah.
funding, for advertising, to get your voices heard, for
Yeah.
any type of national national meets, get-togethers, protests, whatever you want to call them, stuff of that nature.
Cool.
And then also, not only that, but also if you have veterans who actually are in need, like actually, but you have to start somewhere. So that's, like I said, it depends how you start your DAO. If you want to, I'm not a DAO expert. I mean, I'm just starting to read up on DAOs myself. So it would depend upon, how you set it up. If what your main goal is, what your main purpose is. Of course, you want to help all the veterans, but you also want to get legislation pushed to get them what they're owed. You might not be able to do all that at the same time. So, that's where the community, if it's a community driven DAO, that's where the community kind of votes. That's where they get their tokens and they get to vote, and they vote on the direction that the DAO goes, on the direction where the treasury funds are utilized. If they want to utilize it for legislation, or they want to utilize it for helping people, or how much they want to utilize it towards legislation, or how much, what percentage they want to utilize towards legislation, what percentage they want to utilize for we just say the people who are living in poverty, to lift them up or to help them out.
Hi everyone. Hey Dana, I want to say that's so sad. What you're talking about. That's just heartbreaking. And I wanted to just mention, because I'm working with Jenny Press and Shael on this idea, which we're calling the mutual aid DAO, and we have something called the MADAO marketplace. But it's something that I think could be just slightly helpful for you, in that it's applicable to people who have causes. Like, I have a friend who has a political cause, and he just he works himself to the bone on his cause. And I think what we're doing is sort of a place where people can help each other. And so when you have a cause and you're trying to find volunteers to help with stuff, I think that the thesis of our group is that we have this artificial scarcity in the entire U.S. economy, and within the mutual aid DAO we alleviate that through a UBI, which we've initially set at like 300 MADAO per person. And what you could do if you have a cause is that you could actually get on the marketplace and solicit donations in MADAO for your cause. Like, if you believe in this cause, you can donate MADAO to me. And then you can go on the marketplace also, and then actually offer to basically solicit volunteers, but you can actually pay them in MADAO. People are donating to you, and then you turn around and say, I need help with writing stuff. I need help with designing stuff, or even ideas, or consulting advice, just anything that anybody can help you with. You could turn around and use that MADAO and say, anybody who can help me with this, I can give you 50 MADAO an hour or 100 MADAO an hour. So I don't know how helpful that would be, but I wanted to present that.
So basically, it's like, instead of even having to create a DAO, we would just use what you're already putting together. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it could be like a mechanism to help you sort of bring more help into your cause.
Okay.
Yeah, because like the benefit over just like soliciting volunteers is that, you know, we're in a scarcity economy. Everybody's time, money, everything is just stretched. Like nobody has, you know, sort of like extra. But when you realize that that is actually artificial, and you actually allow people to help each other. So the benefit for the volunteers is that in addition to helping with a cause that they probably would like to help, you know, after you've paid them and made out, then they can turn around back into the marketplace and say, hey, you know, I could use some help with something else, like completely different, and then they could get somebody else to help them. So it's like a mutual aid community of people helping each other, and it's something the UBI, the universal basic income, enables that. By just, you know, sort of being like a catalyst, like just providing the getting that process started, where people can help each other, which is not, you know, nearly as possible in the USD economy, because you have all of this artificial poverty and everybody's just struggling to survive, and everybody sort of cares, but it's very difficult for them to you know, to do very much, because everybody, you know, is sort of fully sort of strapped in their own lives. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it
Yeah.
makes total sense. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And that's totally like a great opportunity, a resource, I think. Especially, I mean, I just want to say, Tevo, I love this session. I mean, I know it's focused on an idea I have, but, or, you know, it's not even really, it's all of ours now. That's what kind of makes this cool.
Yeah. One thing what well, I guess it's, I try to show that the co-creation is much better way to get this wording out, because I know from firsthand that writing a proposal yourself with all your thoughts, it's hard to like think what the outset is thinking, what should I do? And now you had such more insight of what other causes there are and other partnerships. Like it can create this like a mind map of possibilities, and then in the end you still have to select and choose your pathway, but it might get stronger. One thing I would already confess that I think it's the hardest thing I have done so far, because the topic for me is so different so far, but I haven't heard before. So I haven't been that much help yet, but I'm glad that you do see value in this.
Okay.
So I feel like we did select, like, is there a possibility that we can improve the proposal, like this sticky note, like the solution wording? And if not, then
creating a DAO of all veterans or for all veterans? And I would say for all, yeah, all veterans, especially Native Americans.
Yeah, I think it's actually even better if we are focusing. So, but if we say that, then you kind of lead out all the veterans who also feel like their comrades, even doesn't matter if they are non-Native Americans.
Yeah,
they
for
feel
all
like
veterans.
excluded.
Yeah, it could be for all veterans. Creating a DAO for all veterans who have served the country to support legislation to change, to have a better identification system shared between the DoD and the VA, something like that.
Why did I split it up is because in idea scale you have 140 characters only for solution, so that's why I only selected one of the reasons on like proposal solution. But in the detailed plan, if you put it in a sticky, you can also we can select most important one here and then bring them also in the detailed plan. So we have the problem statement. There is a disconnect between Department of Defense and Veteran Association identification. And our solution is creating a DAO for all the veterans who have served the country to support legislation to change. We can also work on reverting. But now, why or how does it help? So that we know that we are addressing the problem statement.
If the verification can be done quickly, then they're able to start the process of getting their benefits quickly. So the sooner that their identification is done, the sooner that they're receiving and that they're able to benefit from the things that they've worked for, pretty much, the things that they deserve, to help our veterans get reintegrated and back to society. That was one of the major issues after the past wars, is that there was no, like, Vietnam and all of these, there was no integration, helping them reintegrate after they had, gone through all their traumas, help them with any medications that they need, help them with any thing that they, post service therapy, or just anything. I think that there were is he still on? Who served in the military on here? Did he leave or is he still on?
Scott is here.
I did.
Oh, Scott, you can speak to this better than I can, so I don't want to.
It's basically just it's their transition to civilian life. I mean, it's a huge transition. You're going from a structured environment to an environment that basically you now control 100%. Nobody is telling you what to do. So you're now responsible for, you're basically responsible for, your medical, you're basically responsible for your daily life. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but I mean, you had a structured life while you were in the military. So you're now responsible for your medical, you're responsible for your education. There's nobody to help you. There's nobody, there's no services unless you're tied somehow to the Veterans Administration, unless you can show that tie, that prior service.
It's interesting. I had a friend, just to reiterate what you just said, or to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. It's like when you're in the military, it's basically drilled into your head. You are molded, everything when you go in from your prior life, this, like, you are not an independent person anymore. You are part of a group. You do not move as an individual, you move as a body. And so when you leave the military, it's like, now all of a sudden you're supposed to be an individual again. Whereas before, you were such a close-knit family, you're almost like one part of a body. You're like a hand on a body without your body. So that's kind of like a metaphor. Would you say that that's correct, Scott?
Yeah, you lose the camaraderie of the people that you served with. It's tough. I mean, you were a team and now you're an individual. And that can be tough for a lot of people.
Because in order to survive, like, you can't just think about yourself over there or wherever you are.
Now, and like I was saying, once you're out of the military, you don't have anybody to fall back on, I mean, because a lot of people, when they get out of the military, they either go back home or they just move somewhere else to a new job, and they don't have that support structure that was there before. And so that can be I didn't really encounter that. It wasn't that traumatic for me, but I also didn't experience the same things that these people are experiencing. You know, everything that when I got out, everything was taken care of. It was a pretty fluid transition for me, but it's not that way for everybody.
Yes. Actually, 2 is also good. If possible, maybe we could squeeze out a third one. So then we know. But I think even if we spend a little more time, we could steal something from the previous slide, where we address that in DAOs, perhaps you have like a supporting mechanism, and what we could else, or I don't know, maybe families somehow could be also related in that.
Their education benefits too are kind of tied up in this whole being the acknowledgement of their military service as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think that also goes through. I could be wrong, but I think that goes through VA also.
Okay.
Okay, so educational benefit of participating in DAO, because there are already existing veterans who have experience of transitioning from veteran life to civilian life. Do you mean like this?
No, you actually have college benefits for being in the military. You get 4 years of paid college, and if you don't use it while you're in the military, it transfers to after military service. And that could be lost. That's also a loss. There has to be some way to make that correlation to your military service to after you're out. And that's the whole point of this, is that there's that disconnect between Department of Defense and Veterans Affairs. And Veterans Affairs, if I'm not mistaken, is the one that controls your benefits, all your benefits post service. And so they don't get there's no way to claim those education benefits without going through the Veterans Administration, Veterans Affairs.
Yeah. So when I say VA, I mean Veterans Affairs. If I'm calling it the wrong thing, Veterans Association, Veterans Affairs. Sorry.
Yeah, VA. Yeah, I understood what you meant.
Yeah, so any type of benefits. So whether it's medical or whether it's educational, what other benefits?
They actually do lose out on a lot, because you actually get, they actually have transitional education as well for people who might have disabilities and they can no longer work in the field that they were trained in or educated in. So they have vocational rehabilitation that could also be lost, and they have to claim that within a certain period of time. They have to claim life insurance within a certain period of time, or they lose that and it no longer transfers. There are a lot of benefits that people lose as long as that disconnect is there. There's a lot of benefits that they have the chance of losing the longer it takes for Department of Defense and the VA to get on the same sheet of music.
So I just, this question popped into my head, Scott. Is this something that, I mean, do you think that this is something that's just going on for older veterans, or do you think that this is something still going on for younger veterans? I mean, I should be asking, I know who I can ask for this, but since you're on the phone, I mean, or on the Zoom, you said that your process was seamless. Do you know anybody like within your own era that has had a hard time receiving their stuff?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I can't even comment on that. I don't stay in touch with anybody
Okay.
from the military.
Okay.
I think it's a case by case basis, and it just depends upon how much they pursued. Like I know for sure it was the older generation, but as far as how it is now, I got out in 2002.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I can't offer
yeah,
you
no
more
worries.
guidance on that.
No worries.
All right. What this discussion did show was that the solution did provide this solution did solve the problem, because we did find the reasons how we did it. And the next step would be to think of a title and proposal. However, we have spent quite some time already on this thing, so I think it's at some point we should also quit it. But that was a nice experience of very hard topic, and how would that be used, that method, like thinking through the questions and trying to squeeze out some kind of information and the pathway how to solve this problem. Next step, it would be just a simple process again. Well, the process continues with like titling, the team roles, what I mentioned before. And if you go through all of that and give some kind of insight from you, like you noticed right now, it is better to do it together with the random people, and even better if actually somebody is a veteran who had the experience, that then you will have the on the ground information. But when you go through this process, you will have all of these kinds of idea sprouts and selection of problems which you can use to create the proposal. Usually this process takes like 8 hours, and putting it all into formatted text has usually taken me around 2 hours or 1 hour, depending on the proposal. What is good thing about this is that it, like you noticed, there are a bit different kind of problem statements you can start with, or bit different solutions. So you can technically create different kind of proposals. And if you go into like a future where you like do team roles and KPIs and the process, you can theoretically copy paste them over to other proposals and just change few things what are related to other solution or other problem statements. So, and this is also a very beneficial thing. But yeah, that requires like a longer period of doing this stuff several times to have the grasp of how to like create a lot of proposals.
Yeah, no. So we kind of went through the harder stuff today, right?
Yeah, usually the problem statement and solution is the hardest, because once you get these down, you know what you are going to solve and how to solve, and then you are easier time. Okay, how do I measure it? How to what teams I need, what roles and who do I need to connect to? How much time it might take, and all of that stuff. And the rest of it is like more of a logic step. But yeah.
And so to create a DAO, you need like somebody who knows how to do that technically and all that, right?
Yes, it will help if you have in team somebody who can explain the intricacies, how the smart contract should be built, and how to keep things private, and what not to do, like a few things. However, yeah, right now there is not many DAOs, but there are many attempts, and even in this town hall you show an NFT DAO, what was one of the first DAOs created on Wyoming. So reaching out to existing DAOs, and like there was one joined a Discord, so starting a chat there might also help. If they are already organizing a DAO, maybe they can help you to get started 1 with 2. It is still in the chat.
Yep, he is. I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially Scott. Thank you for your service again. And this has been amazing. I mean, for somebody who just literally started looking into Catalyst about a week ago, like this is blowing my mind. So thank you.
Welcome to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, one thing to notice, we are actually also been like thinking of how to create a DAO, but it has been such a big challenge. So we mostly are like a helpful group who are passionate to help others and connect and the network together. But at some point, I feel like we are more mature to just spin off DAOs, and maybe that is going to be a service for DAO creations, like we have a service for spinning up stake pools.
Yeah.
Good to meet everybody. There we go. My mic's working now. So
Nice
that was
to
a fantastic presentation. Just off the cuff, really good. Really good project. So nice to meet you, and nice to meet everybody. And I'll see you guys around.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you too. Thank you for sharing.